They told you who you had to be before you even had the chance to figure it out yourself. Since the moment you took your first steps, expectations have been placed on your shoulders, some spoken, some unspoken, but all powerful enough to shape your reality. You were taught what success should look like, what failure meant, and where your limits supposedly ended. And you believed it. Because when the world hands you a script and tells you it's the only way, what else are you supposed to do? But let me ask you something. Who decided that script? Who wrote the rules you live by? More importantly, why did you accept them without question? Most people don't even realize they're living in a cage built by other people's expectations. They go through life following a script they never wrote, measuring success by someone else's standards, and wondering why they feel unfulfilled. And the worst part, they never stop to ask themselves if the script was even meant for them in the first place. But today that changes. Today you start questioning everything, because if you don't, you'll keep living in a world that was built for you but never by you. So here's the truth. The life you're living right now is a reflection of the expectations you've chosen to accept. But expectations can be broken, and the moment you realize that, imagine for a second that your life is a book. Page after page, chapter after chapter, it unfolds. Now picture yourself holding that book in your hands. As you flip through the pages, ask yourself, who wrote this? For most people, the answer is shocking, because if they're honest, they'll realize they've been letting other people hold the pen. Society, family, friends, teachers, bosses. The voices of the past, the pressures of the present. Every expectation, every limitation, every unspoken rule, it's all linked into their story, and they never once questioned if they were okay with it. But what if you took the pen back? What if, instead of following the script you were given, you decided to write your own? Think about it. How many times have you made a decision based on fear of what others might think? How many dreams have you abandoned because someone convinced you they were unrealistic? How many times have you silenced your own voice just to fit in? The truth is, you've been an extra in your own story for too long. But that can end today, because from this moment forward, you're no longer a spectator. You're the author. The question is, what are you going to write next? You didn't build the walls around you, but you live inside them. From the moment you could understand words, people have been constructing your world. Parents told you what was acceptable. Teachers told you what was possible. Society told you what was expected. And without realizing it, you accepted their blueprint and built your life around it. But here's the hard truth. Most people never question the walls they live within. They don't even recognize that they're in a cage because the bars are invisible. The bars are made of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of stepping outside the norm. The bars are made of beliefs. I'm not good enough. That's not for people like me. I should just be grateful for what I have. And over time, that cage becomes comfortable. You stop trying to escape because you don't even remember what freedom looks like. But let me ask you this. If the door was open, would you walk out? The reality is, you've always had the key. The real prison isn't built by society. It's built by the beliefs you've accepted without question. And if you're brave enough to challenge them, you'll realize something incredible. The cage was never locked. When you were a child, you questioned everything. Why is the sky blue? Why do I have to go to school? Why can't I be an astronaut, a singer, and a scientist at the same time? But somewhere along the way, you stopped asking. You started accepting. You started believing that this is just the way things are. And that's when the real problem began. Look around at the life you're living, the job you have, the choices you make, the way you think about success, happiness, and purpose. How much of it is truly yours, and how much of it was handed to you by someone who never questioned it either? The most dangerous habit a person can develop is blind acceptance. It's how people stay stuck in lives they don't love. It's how dreams shrink into regrets. It's how a child full of curiosity turns into an adult full of limitations. But here's the good news. If you start asking why again, you can wake up. You can question the rules you've been following. You can break the cycle. Because the people who change the world aren't the ones who accept it as it is. They're the ones who ask, why does it have to be this way? And more importantly, what if it could be different? Who told you that you had to follow the rules? Who decided what was possible for you? Because I guarantee you, every rule you think exists was made up by someone no smarter than you. The greatest breakthroughs in history happened because someone refused to accept limitations. The Wright brothers were told man would never fly. Henry Ford was told people didn't need cars. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Now let's bring it back to you. How many dreams have you let go of because someone told you they weren't realistic? How many ideas have you abandoned because they didn't fit into the mold? How many times have you doubted yourself because someone else doubted you first? What if for one moment you let go of everything you were told was impossible? The truth is, there are no real rules, just the ones you choose to follow. And the second you realize that, you step into power most people never experience. Because the only person who can say you can't is you, and the only person who can prove them wrong is you. Close your eyes for a second. Picture your ideal life. Not the one you think is realistic, not the one that fits inside society's expectations, the life that deep down you truly want. What does it look like? Where are you? What are you doing? How do you feel? Now, open your eyes and ask yourself, why don't you have it yet? Most people believe life is something that happens to them. They wait, they hope, they make safe choices because they think control is an illusion. But the truth is, life is not something you react to, it's something you create. The most successful, fulfilled people in the world didn't wait for permission. They didn't follow a blueprint that was handed to them. They designed their own, and you can do the same. Every choice you make builds your future. Every belief you challenge breaks another chain. Every risk you take moves you one step closer to the life you were meant to live. So the question is no longer, can I create my dream life? The question is, will I? Imagine looking out of a window covered in dirt and grime. The world outside is still there, beautiful, full of opportunities, but you can't see it clearly. Everything looks dull, distorted, limited. And because that's all you can see, you start believing that's all there is. That's how perspective works. For years you've been looking at life through a lens shaped by doubt, fear, and the limits placed on you by others. You see obstacles instead of possibilities. You see failure instead of lessons. You see reasons to quit instead of reasons to push forward. But what if I told you the problem isn't the world, it's the window? If you take a moment to clean it, to challenge your old beliefs, to question the limits you've accepted, you'll realize something powerful. Life was never against you. The opportunities were always there. The strength was always in you. You just couldn't see it. So ask yourself, what's clouding your vision? And more importantly, are you ready to wipe it clean? A butterfly doesn't start as a butterfly. It begins as something small, crawling, limited, and when the time comes for it to transform, it faces its greatest struggle, breaking free from the cocoon. The process is painful, it's exhausting, but here's what most people don't realize. The struggle is necessary. If you cut open the cocoon to help the butterfly, it won't survive, because it's the fight, the resistance that strengthens its wings. Without the struggle, it would never fly. Now think about your own struggles. The moments that broke you, the nights you questioned if you could keep going. What if those weren't signs of weakness, but proof that you were growing? Every challenge, every failure, every painful lesson, it's all shaping you. You are not struggling because you are weak. You are struggling because you are becoming strong. And one day, you're going to look back and realize the struggle wasn't the thing that held you back. It was the thing that set you free. We have this idea that strength is something we have to find, that one day we'll wake up and finally feel powerful, fearless, unstoppable. But here's the truth. Strength isn't something you find. It's something you realize has been inside you this whole time. Think about everything you've been through, the losses, the setbacks, the days you thought you wouldn't make it, but you did. You've already survived things that once felt impossible. You've already proven time and time again that you are stronger than you think. So why don't you see it? Because somewhere along the way the world convinced you that strength has to look a certain way, that it's loud, aggressive, undeniable. But real strength? It's quiet. It's in the moments you keep going when no one is watching. It's in the times you choose to try again when everything tells you to quit. You don't have to become strong. You just have to recognize that you already are. Now that you see it, now that you know the strength has always been inside you, what's next? Because awareness is only the first step. The real question is, what are you going to do with it? Most people wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is only now. So here's your challenge. Take one step. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. But it has to be something. Say yes to an opportunity you would normally avoid. Speak up when you'd usually stay silent. Do one thing that scares you, even if it's small. Because once you take that first step, something incredible happens. You realize that the chains were never as strong as you thought, that the cage was never locked, that the power was always yours. So what are you waiting for? Take the step. Knowing your strength is one thing, using it is another. Most people have moments of realization, flashes of clarity where they see their potential, where they understand that the only thing holding them back is themselves. But then what happens? They hesitate. They second guess. And before they know it, the fire that was about to ignite dies out before it even starts. Because here's the thing, awareness is nothing without action. Think about a match. It has the potential to start a fire, to bring warmth, to create light. But if it just sits there untouched, nothing happens. It stays the same. Your potential works the same way. You can't just recognize your strength, you have to use it. You have to take risks. You have to step into the unknown, even when it scares you. Because every time you do, that fire inside you grows stronger. And the best part? Once that fire is lit, no one, not society, not doubt, not fear, can put it out. The only question left is, are you ready to strike the match? Failure isn't what breaks people, it's their reaction to it. Some people hit a setback and decide it's over. They convince themselves they weren't meant to succeed. They use failure as proof that they should quit. And others, they take the same setback, the same pain, the same disappointment, and they turn it into fuel. The difference between success and staying stuck isn't talent, it isn't luck, it isn't intelligence, it's perspective. Think about the most successful people in history. Do you really think they got there without failure? Do you think they never doubted themselves? The difference is, they didn't let their failures define them, they used them. So, here's your choice. You can let setbacks be the reason you stop, or you can let them be the thing that pushes you forward. You can see them as proof of why you should quit, or proof of how badly you want this. Because in the end, failure is inevitable, growth is optional, and the ones who choose to grow are the ones who rise. There is a fire inside you. There always has been. But somewhere along the way, life tried to smother it. People doubted you, fear crept in, the world told you to play it safe, and little by little, that fire got smaller. But it never went out. Because if it did, you wouldn't be here, right now. You wouldn't still be searching, still wanting, still feeling that pull towards something greater. The fact that you are here, listening to these words, proves that the fire is still there, and now it's time to make it unstoppable. The most driven people in the world aren't special. They weren't born with more talent or more advantages. The difference is they protect their fire. They refuse to let failure, doubt, or fear put it out. They keep going even when it's hard, even when no one believes in them. That's what separates those who dream from those who do. And if you want to live the life you know you're capable of, you have to fan that flame every day, no matter what. Because once you do, there's nothing that can stop you. Success isn't built in a day, it's built in the tiny choices you make every single day. Every morning you have a decision, stay the same or grow. Wait for the right moment or create it. Take the easy way or take the road that leads somewhere new. Most people think change happens all at once. They think success is one big moment, one breakthrough, one decision. But in reality, it's built in the quiet moments. The ones no one sees. The ones that seem small but shape everything. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you grow. Every time you say yes to an opportunity instead of making an excuse, you move forward. Every time you refuse to give up, even when it's hard, you prove to yourself that you are in control. That's where real power comes from. Not in waiting for a big break, not in hoping for luck, but in the simple, daily choices that add up over time. So ask yourself, what choice will you make today? Because those choices, they're shaping your future, right now. Everything you need is already inside you. The strength, the fire, the ability to change your life. The only thing missing is your decision. You don't need more time. You don't need more permission. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. The moment is now. Because if you don't rise today, then when? If you don't step up now, then how much longer will you wait? How many more years will pass before you finally realize that you've had the power all along? You are not stuck. You are not powerless. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are capable. You are strong. And you are ready. So, no more hesitation. No more waiting. No more hoping that life will change on its own. It's time. Rise. How many days have you spent waiting? Waiting for the right time? Waiting for more confidence? Waiting for someone to tell you that you're ready? Let me tell you something. Waiting is a lie. It's an illusion. It's the excuse that keeps people stuck in the same place, living the same life, feeling the same frustration year after year. Because time doesn't wait for you. Life doesn't pause until you're ready. And the longer you delay, the further you drift from the life you were meant to live. So let's get honest. If you don't start now, then when? If you don't take control today, what makes you think you ever will? Most people tell themselves, I'll start next week, or I'll change when things settle down. But weeks turn into months, months turn into years, and one day they wake up and realize they spent their whole life waiting for a moment that never came. But you, right now, you have a choice. You can break that cycle. You can decide in this very moment that you are done waiting, that today is the day everything changes, not tomorrow, not when it feels easier, not when life hands you a perfect opportunity. Now, because this is it. This is your moment, and if you don't take it, you'll look back one day and realize you let your life slip through your fingers. So don't wait. Stand up. Take action, because your future isn't something you find. It's something you create. No more excuses. No more waiting for permission. No more sitting on the sidelines while life passes you by. Because this is your life, your future, your story, and the pen is in your hands. So what are you going to do with it? You can keep living the way you've always lived. You can keep believing the same doubts, following the same patterns, playing it safe. But if you do that, nothing will change. You will stay exactly where you are. Or you can take a risk, you can break the old patterns, you can step into the unknown, knowing that the only way to grow is to move forward. Because the truth is, your future is not written yet. It's not decided, it's not locked in. It's yours. And the only person who can shape it is you. So let me ask you, right here, right now, what choice are you going to make? Will you stay where you are, or will you rise? Because at the end of your life, when you look back at this moment, there's only one thing you'll want to say. I took control. I chose growth. I created the life I was meant to live. And if that's the future you want, then take it, because it's yours.